Yeah, somebody did at some point.
And that'd have been John, I guess.
You're ringing.
Oh, Lordy.
Before we start this.
You should have seen what I had on earlier for his topics.
Yeah, I took care of that.
I thought it was funny.
Now that Mark's not here, we can talk about him and maybe he'll put it in the opening blurb.
That would be nice.
I would really hope that he would just catch that moment and then cut it right here.
Do you think he jerks off in that costume?
I mean, probably.
It looks soft enough.
It looks matted.
Ooh.
Yeah, like there's a little bit of schmutz on the outside.
There's a little bit of schmutz, huh? I didn't know I had that kind of range.
Ho, 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 motherfuckers. Merry Christmas and welcome to Happy Hour.
Wow.
Why would you do that?
But we hadn't even.
God, I'm not even drank that much yet.
You're supposed to put your bottle up.
As you can tell, this is our Christmas holiday spectacular. In case you've never been here before, Happy Hour is our hour-long weekly show
You
here
did
at
that
the
last
Strange
time, too.
Gaming Network.
Hour-long daily was the one last week.
I know. I can't understand time or how that works as a construct. We get together to talk about
Nobody does.
various gaming and technology news, along with a topic of the show, which comes towards the end. Over to my right.
Handsome John.
I remember to introduce people this time. On the left, the reindeer himself,
The dispatcher, Mark Clover.
the dispatcher.
Banta himself.
Banta, Batman Santa. You better believe it. We
Also,
are
head kitchen watch, apparently.
We're sitting here drinking this wonderful black mocha stout from Highland, along with
Super
some
heavy.
beautiful Basil Hayden.
Love some Basil Hayden.
For the Christmas season, you definitely have to have some nice whiskey along with a dark beer. And we're drinking out of our Christmas buckets because it's Christmas time. So
Ho, ho, ho.
I still don't
As
trust
some
these
would say.
buckets.
we're not sure what the buckets are made out of, and a red Solo cup is probably stronger than the bucket itself. John earlier was lifting it by the handle, which terrified me. But I digress.
That is a little terrifying.
Aside from our little holiday festivities, there's a lot of stuff that goes on in the world. But this is the important. God, we're so good.
Important.
I just peeked that microphone. We're going to start over with the dispatcher.
Also realized
Something involving one of the most terrifying shows on Netflix, Black Mirror, cyber bees.
It's coming a real thing. Kind of. So those were full mechanical bees anyway, for those of you who have seen Black Mirror. We're kind of getting to that point, except that bees are getting backpacks now.
The bees. You have to put in that clip. The bees.
Oh, not the bees! Not the bees!
Anyways.
So the whole point of cyber bees is what they're calling them anyway, is little backpacks anyway that have tiny like lithium ion batteries, small microchips with wireless transmitters on them, so they can actually fly out over crops because they disperse themselves greatly over crops to pollinate.
Yeah.
So bees can because bees can carry, I think it was 1.5 times their own body weight, or 4? Was it
3
really?
to 4 times.
I thought it was 3/4 times or something like that. Oh, anyway.
3 for the time.
It's either 3 to 4 times or 3/4 of their body weight, but I'm pretty sure it's 3 to 4
You
times.
know what? I'm going to look it up because
We
I'm tired
could
of
say
notice.
3/4 of bees could carry weight.
Or 3/4 of 3 times. Just go on.
Anywho, they're calling it the Living IoT Backpack. And the idea is that it actually has sensors on it for temperature and humidity.
Mhm.
So as they fly out over crops, they can actually determine how or what the livelihood of a crop is, basically, or how rich in nutrients it is, and like whether it has enough moisture and that kind of thing. Because if some areas of the crop are drier than others, then you obviously want to water those a little bit more or monitor what's happening out there. But apparently, they also are going to implement systems to check the how healthy the crops are somehow, whether or not there's rot involved and other things like that. And I don't know if they tell that through the temperature or the humidity.
Probably through methane or carbon because
Yeah.
of the decomposition.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
But it's impressive because it actually is able to, with directional beaming anyway, able to determine the location of the bees in the crop, so you can determine how far away they are.
Mhm.
And the little packs that go on their back anyway actually only weigh 102 milligrams. And it's actually, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's really cool looking because he grabs it with like a pair of tweezers or whatever, and he's grabbing like the edge of the board, and I'm not kidding you, it's like smaller than like.
Did he have to
C on
Miyagi
his
the bee
keyboard.
out of midair to get him to put that backpack on?
I like to think that they lasso the bees. They're like
with floss?
What?
Yeehaw! Merry Christmas.
Well,
Oh, yeah,
how
no.
do they? So how long does the battery last?
Well, it's rechargeable actually.
Yeah.
So they don't say how long it actually lasts. I would imagine nothing more than maybe an hour or two, because I mean, I can't imagine they stay out for much longer than that anyway before they return to the hive for a little while.
They do. They're not.
What if they're solar power? How are they charging?
Wireless charging.
Okay.
So they actually put a wireless charger unit
That makes sense. Since they
inside
go back to the hive.
Yeah, so
at
every
night.
time they go back to the hive,
Yeah.
they recharge themselves.
Huh.
That it's actually really intelligent.
Yeah.
I'm actually really impressed that this is something they're utilizing anyway. I guess it's weird to me that they're using bees for this, but it makes sense if like they're bumblebees like this, they can
Yeah.
carry more weight.
They
on
go
them.
out in the day, pick up pollen, come
Yeah.
back, and
Yeah.
sleep at night, or do
Okay,
whatever they
so
do.
They're naturally going over those areas anyways.
Yeah.
The here it is.
And you don't have to train. them.
Integrated battery lets it run for 7 hours.
Okay.
It weighs just 102 milligrams, and full-grown bumblebees, for comparison, could weigh anywhere from 2 to 6 times that.
So therefore, it can carry
I'm-
3 to 4 times its weight.
The idea is that this is literally only like half to 1/6 their body weight, and they can carry more than their own body weight in
Yeah.
pollen. So
That's awesome.
yeah, so this is actually, I think this is really cool. This is a really neat invention. This is definitely a good way to, I guess, utilize nature to help nature, that kind of thing. Or, well, actually, I guess we're getting personal gain out of this, but
Yeah.
it's a really neat way to make
It's-
a utility out of something.
I have to wonder, like, is there a negative thing that can come from this?
I don't know. So so at the end of the article, they specifically state that like it's been put in front of, like, I guess, experts on the subject anyway, of like whether or not this would affect their ecosystem or a bee's particular livelihood. Like if he
It can't collect as much
If it-
pollen doing that.
Well, that's the issue, but it depends on how many they're distributing, I would guess. So my best understanding is if you're only putting on, let's say, 5% of the hive, then yeah, you're probably only going to affect that 5%. But if you're still only decreasing their ability to carry by about 1/6 on 5%, that's very minuscule. It may not affect that much.
How does PETA feel about this?
I'm sure they hate it.
PETA was not mentioned in the article, but the experts were. So
That's good.
I do think that this is one of those things you're not going to know exactly what the impact is until they actually continue to practice with it and all this
Yeah.
stuff. All I know is, thank God, there's nothing wrong with bees. They're not dying tragically, or else this would be useless
Horrible.
technology.
I know.
useful.
Is it useless technology? Speaking of the hive mind, though, Apple,
Oh Lord,
Giggity.
that was a really good
that
one.
was a good one.
So
was
Apple
good.
Watch
I enjoyed that.
out here saving lives. Apparently, the newest iteration, anyway, with the heart rate monitor, as well as some software that was being put. I think it was Stanford that they were working with for medical research. They were using, like, I guess, asking people if they wanted to participate anyway in sort of their preliminary, I guess, heart monitoring system or whatever. Yeah, and the idea is that you could actually talk with a health representative that Apple had or that Stanford had that could explain what your particular issue would be. So the Apple Watch is like, are monitoring for like abnormal things to the point that it's catching AFib on people who have it preliminary, because the only way that you know if you have AFib is if you happen to be at a hospital, or if you happen to, actually, I don't know what the attack is that happens, but if you get hospitalized from it and somebody says that's what happened, that
It's
kind of thing.
usually
But
caused-
a lot of people don't survive it.
It can be, you can feel angina or anything else like that, but usually it's it's usually a fluctuation
timing.
between I think it's 45 or 50 beats per minute to
Yeah.
120.
So and it's a regularity too. It's not
it's like the
not
major
like
fluctuation.
Yeah, it's not like it's a slow fluctuation of up and down like you would if you were like working out or something like that. It's hard spikes up and down kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it was catching AFib, and I didn't realize how many articles there were of people who were getting caught with this. So one of the reviewers for TechCrunch, I believe it was, actually had his or whatever, and he was going to review the Apple Watch anyway,
Mhm.
and then it asked him to be part of the program, and he just said, yeah, sure, whatever, that kind of thing. Sure enough, it said AFib, and he's like, I don't know. I mean, this is beta software. I don't know how I feel about that, that kind of thing. And the article actually that I had posted in here was another guy who had it, but he thought it was weird, and he thought it was his Apple Watch just messing up. So he puts on his wife AFib, or his wife's AFib, puts on his daughter's AFib. He's like, all right, something's a little weird here. So he goes to the hospital or goes to urgent care, something like that, and almost leaves because apparently there's like 80 people in line ahead of him. But he, again, looks down at his watch. It says AFib. He's like, all right, fine, I'll stick it out. Sure enough, they said, if you hadn't come in here within a week, she said, you probably wouldn't have made it here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Save some lives. Like Apple out here saving some lives. Whether or not they really intended, like that was going to be like the hard case of it. But honestly, this beta program, if you guys get the invite for it, you might want to sign up.
Yeah.
You also may have AFib or AFab or I don't know, whatever it's called.
AFib. Okay, you just go ahead.
Was it atrial fibrillation?
Atriofib. Yes, that. I
That
can never say that
Moving
right.
on to the
no
next
matter what I do.
topic. Speaking of the other hive mind, Google and footwear. What?
So they filed a patent.
Not funny
So
anymore.
they filed for a patent for a new set of shoes for VR. The biggest issue in VR right now is the ability to move within a space. And there is a device that's currently out that is about as big as this table that literally straps you into the center of it and makes you look like you're in. Why can't I think of the movie right now? Ready Player One.
Ready Player One.
Never
Yep.
saw that movie.
It's
Yeah.
on HBO now.
I need to watch it. It's just I've been waiting.
HBO now.
But
Not sponsored. We're hoping though.
All right.
But anyway, it's like the current devices anyway strap you into this giant machine with an omnidirectional treadmill
Mhm.
that allows you to run around in any direction. Google has filed for a patent for footwear that has like motion sensors in it, and the idea is that it's supposed to be like near zero friction or near zero resistance, so you can put yourself sort of in a small space anyway, and only put on shoes that will detect you trying to run in one place or move in a particular place.
I find that. Okay, so you're saying like there's
like
a bunch
it's
of
like roller-
wheels
it's-
on the bottom of your feet.
It's like roller skates, but
and you're
like with sensors.
blindfolding yourself with something you can't see, and you're trying to walk in place.
While waving around wands or controllers.
I
But-
cannot
but-
see
but
anything wrong with this.
Well, no. So this could be much cheaper anyway. So if they actually built a like another mechanism for you to be able to stay in one place, instead of for you having to have this expensive treadmill setup, you could just put a pair of shoes on, set up 4 poles in your room or something like that on top of a platform, and then just it keeps you centered in there. But the idea is that the shoes are what's actually doing it instead of the treadmill underneath, because the expensive part's the treadmill
Yeah.
and the sensors that are in
Well, it takes
with
up a
it.
lot of space too.
Right. So the idea is instead you could have something that collapses, for example. You store it somewhere and pull it back out whenever you want to.
could just take 4 kitchen chairs and put yourself in the middle of them. And you're like, oh, went too far.
I'm thinking more like let's go back
you're,
to.
you're way too wired today.
That entertained me more than
Well,
it
I mean,
should
think
have.
about it. Like you're like the baby thing. Like you just put the kids
Yeah.
in the jumper.
The little
Just
jumper
do that.
buggy.
And it's just and you tension it down to where you're just standing there. You can just walk.
Yeah.
It's I was thinking maybe a vest, but that wouldn't work out. Well, you have to like
No.
sit in a harness.
But the idea is anyway, if you've got shoes that are part of it instead of a full treadmill setup, then you end up a little bit more flexible with what you can do to, I guess, keep yourself stationary within the space.
I don't think that's gonna work out well.
What if I want to play barefoot?
You gotta
Then
be
you're out
able
of
to
luck.
like,
Okay, I was just curious.
No, then you got to go back to the old school,
Yeah.
the old way of doing things where you're like, point, I want to go there.
yeah.
Point, I want to go there.
Okay.
I don't yet see. I mean, I didn't see it with VR all that well. Oh god, I didn't see the
It depends.
He's
Sorry.
curving a little
capability
to
of
the left.
VR until I started seeing a lot of the games that
Yeah.
came this year. So we'll see what happens if they put this footwear out. I want to see what goes on, but I think people are gonna hurt themselves.
It is going to be interesting to see. I imagine we've talked previously about Sony's next move, and I truly believe their next move for PS5 involves VR becoming integrated into the system.
Mhm.
And you're right. This is one of the biggest issues right now is how do you move in that space?
Yep.
So finding a way in which your body is moving and it's able to track it for cheap, not a bad idea.
I like it.
We've talked about like almost PlayStation Home
Yep.
coming back
Yep.
in VR. It's gonna be really cool. Talking to people, actually walking around, and then all of a sudden you go to grope somebody, but you're not really there. But is it really sexual assault because it's in the virtual world? Like,
This window
Why-
place I
why did
didn't
we-
quite expect.
How did
it
we
to
end up
go.
here?
Well, I mean, we were talking about Santa, and you're
Yeah.
sitting on his lap.
oh,
Speaking of VR,
No,
I'm
I'm leading his sleigh. I need to
You're
write that.
leading something. I am going to steal the mic because ZeniMax and Oculus have reached an agreement. Their lawsuit against each other, or it was ZeniMax against Oculus for stealing their technology. It gets a little funky because John Carmack worked for both ZeniMax and for Oculus at the same time. They went to court saying that John Carmack basically took the technology he was working on at ZeniMax and took it to Oculus, which is how they got their headset. So they finally settled outside of court.
Well, ZeniMax won the last one, didn't they?
So ZeniMax won the first set, and then they came back with another lawsuit. They have settled outside of court to the tune of $500 million.
Well, that's what they
That-
initially won,
that-
but they settled for 200.
That was the first one.
Yeah,
The first one
you're
was
right,
court order
right.
500. They settled at 250.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting. I feel like much like everyone else, they're getting tired of playing this game. There's only so much you can
But they
attain
already,
off of
they
it.
already won once. What
It-
else did they have to stand on for the second one?
It involved because I think Carmack wanted to countersue.
Probably sales and stuff too.
Yeah. So it is interesting that they finally ended this debacle because ZeniMax is a very, very ruthless company when it comes to protecting the things that they own. So
We will protect our rights to our stuff.
correct.
They develop.
Well,
They
I
also
mean,
protect.
it's not like Oculus couldn't have like done the due diligence.
It's I'm sure that Facebook themselves are probably just kicking themselves.
Yeah.
Not that Oculus isn't going to make them money, but
How
right
did they
now,
think that was going to go though? I mean, really?
well, I'm sure.
They literally took one of the lead programmers, I'm assuming, or developers from them
Yeah,
to go work on their stuff. Be like, by the way,
he
don't do anything that's going to cost us millions of dollars.
was the head developer at ZeniMax, and they were working on VR technology. Now, ZeniMax is a software company; they aren't hardware, so that's very important. However, they're a very large company, and they tend to aggressively expand outside of their space. So, you could wear the antlers over there while you're not wearing the hood. Okay, I know you're getting a little warm.
Getting hot? Getting warm yet?
It's getting hot and dear.
Oh.
Oh,
I wasn't ready for that.
That was fantastic. I'm going to go ahead and move forward once again to talk about Here's the Storm, or lack thereof. It turns out that Blizzard is pulling back on development and
Death
updates.
of the Storm.
Death of the Storm is seemingly what we're getting to
Yeah.
at this point. How do you feel?
Honestly, I liked Heroes of the Storm.
Yeah.
Like League was one of the games that to me seemed like I really had to devote all of my time to it. I'm trying to talk and check my levels at the same time.
noticed
Sorry,
that.
guys. But it's because you were peeking out pretty heavy. Anyway, League seemed like it had to be too involved of a game. Like you really had to devote a lot of time to it. But Heroes of the Storm was very quick of I build up skills in the characters that I play, and then I just continue to play those characters. It was much easier for me to just sort of leave and then just jump right back into it, kind of thing. Don't get me wrong, there's a learning curve to it, but it's nowhere near as severe as League is to really be good at it.
Yeah. So I honestly did not look this up. Do you know when League released compared to Here's the Storm? Because Here's the Storm is relatively,
long time ago. Heroes of the Storm is only
3 years old.
3 to 4,
Yeah,
something like that.
something
Because
minor.
I remember I had it on release night, but I don't remember when that was now.
They just released another character for it, didn't they?
Yeah, they're constantly updating that game, and I find it fascinating because what they were quoted saying essentially is that it's just not making money. It's not, people aren't really engaging in it the way they thought they would, so they're pulling back on that kind of development. But the MOBA landscape, for one, isn't one that makes money to that extent. Like League is huge.
Yeah,
but League-
Riot's the exception here.
Yeah, they're the exception to the rule, not the rule.
Right.
And even still, like they self-fund most of their tournaments, like everything that they do, it channels back into itself.
Yep.
So that's why it's become so big, is because they literally put everything into that one game. Like I don't think Riot develops other games, or if they do, they're very minor.
Not that I know of.
So but this is also indicative of what a lot of people are worried about when it comes to Blizzard and Activision's ownership of Blizzard. They purchased them in 2013, and slowly but surely over time, it seems like they're really bringing them into the Activision way, away from the Blizzard way, and that's really terrifying people.
Well, yeah, because Blizzard way was like, we're gonna hardcore like devote ourselves to this game because we believe in this game. Activision's more of a moneymaker. They're like
Yeah.
they're more focused on the
Push it.
profit
Did
side
it
of things
work?
because
Do it again. If it didn't, do something else.
Because their profile is so diverse. Like Activision's profile is portfolio is so diverse that like they're going to shut down something if it doesn't make enough for them because they can afford to just spawn another one.
Yeah. And what's super interesting to me is the timing of this, considering how we had BlizzCon recently. Everyone freaked out about Diablo Immortal because a lot of people are babies. And now they're having, once again, a really bad PR issue with the fans.
Yep.
I can understand the game not doing as well. You could easily silently shutter those kinds of things. I think coming out speaks to itself in one way of like, hey, at least they're being open. But at the same time, like you could have waited until next year at least, give yourself some space from your last bad debacle.
Yeah. I at this point, I think they're trying to be. It's almost like, don't worry, we're working on Diablo 4. This is what you really wanted, and we need to grab our guys that are good at this stuff to work on.
Right.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Heroes of the Storm look beautiful. I mean, it was very
I mean,
well
it's
thought out of a game.
I would say it's a very well constructed game, and I, like I said, I enjoyed it thoroughly. I mean, for what I played it, I didn't play it for long because I didn't have a whole lot of friends that really played. But I mean, for what I did play, it was actually really enjoyable.
But does it need to be there though? I mean, you already have Diablo.
It's not Diablo. It's
I know, but it
way
looks so
different.
much.
yeah,
It
well,
reminds me of it so much.
It's way
it's
different.
well, I mean, it's a but it's a MOBA that brings in the
I'm
rest
looking
of
from the outside, by the
Yeah,
way. I
yeah.
don't play Diablo,
Yeah.
but
Well,
looking
I
at
mean-
it, it just felt like even the attacks felt the same.
So that's because they pull like the whole point of Heroes of the Storm is that it's Blizzard's properties in a game. So there's a ton of Diablo characters along with Overwatch, along with a couple of other custom characters for
Okay.
that. But it's team-based online like battling in an arena, which is what MOBA stands for. Whereas Diablo's a single player mostly. You can have other players like playing with you, but
Yeah.
it's made to be a single player like fantasy experience. I personally think that rather than backtracking on this, it would have been smarter, and I'm sure some people will crucify me, but it'd been smarter to port this. Like Diablo is a franchise that people were like, you'll never make this work on console because this is how it works on PC. And arguably the control scheme's better on console today. So finding a way to make this work
for MOBAs, that's hard.
I agree. I'm not saying it's easy, but if I feel like there's, once again, rather than backing away, doubling down, I feel like is your better option with this specific game. Because to me, I've always felt like Heroes of the Storm has consistently been on the cusp. It's always on the cusp. It's like just shy of where it needs to be compared to
Right.
League and Dota 2.
I mean, the reason League and Dota have such, I guess, the edge that they do is because they're such, well, one, they're well established.
Yeah.
Too. I mean, you can't really break a fan base from a game who's played it consistently for, was it 5 to 10 years
Yeah.
now or something like
Yeah.
that? Like, I mean, we were playing it back in 2010
Yeah.
whenever I was a freshman in college. Like, we would set up like LAN parties basically to have, like of the 5 of us planning up anyway to play. But
Been around forever.
exactly, but you can't really break that fan base. The other side of it too is, well, a lot of people, like for the reasons that I mentioned, that I liked it because it was easy to pick up.
Mhm.
A lot of people don't like it for that reason.
Yeah. They prefer the tougher stuff of
right,
League and-
because they want the learning curve to be there. Because for the guys who devote all of their time and energy to become professionals at this, well, it's devoting a lot of time to this
Yeah.
because it's what you want to do. You get really good at understanding the items. You get really good at understanding your rune setup, what characters you play, how you ban, what, like your map placement, all kinds of things, that actually make it a very complex game. But how you adapt mid-game, not just sticking with a standard build for things.
See, and in that, for that reason alone, I truly think that if they doubled down, expanded this, and made this more accessible, I feel like that's the whole point. Like to me, it's like Pokemon is baby's first RPG.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
This could become baby's first MOBA, and
yeah.
they may not want to market it that way,
Well,
but.
I always thought it was.
Yeah.
Like that's how I always felt like it was.
Like Fortnite is baby's first battle royale, arguably Call of Duty's baby's first shooter. Like there's some technicality there, and
You said You said BR for
Fortnite,
Fortnite. Oh,
and
I
then
don't know.
first shooter for Call of Duty.
Okay.
'Cause-
Okay. Never mind. I don't know why. Whenever you said that, Overwatch
I'm not
popped
letting
into
my
my head
baby
for
play
some
Call
reason.
of Duty.
You
I'm joking.
know what I mean.
Yeah.
I think that there's an argument to be made that there is a fresh space for this game to grow. That they just were aiming at the wrong area,
Yeah.
and much like Diablo, they wanted to get it in as many hands as possible. Expand this out.
I didn't even hear about this until recently.
Yeah, well, it happened on Friday, I think.
No, I meant the game itself. Like I
Oh,
hardly
yeah.
ever saw anything about it.
Oh, really?
Ever.
It's a PC game. It's
Yeah.
PC heavy. It's where it's only available, so
Yeah.
that would explain why.
I mean, I think on Switch it would be fine.
Yeah, again, I think you could. I'm sure people are going to fry me alive on the internet.
I don't give a
See, I could see
Nike.
it. I could see it on Switch because you have a touchscreen. That's
was-
the only reason I can see it. I can't see it being played on a controller dependent. Excuse me. I can't see it being played on a controller dependent console like a PlayStation or Xbox or.
PlayStation's got the touchpad.
Yeah, but what I'm talking
just
about is the ability to tap
little
anywhere on
touch.
screen to register. Because like
Yeah.
MOBAs are played by literally right clicking where you want your character to go, and then you can sort of pan away and do other things while your character's continuing to move, and then you can pan back to your
Yeah,
character kind of thing. So
Vita could probably do
They
that, right?
said the same thing about real time strategy, and guess what? They're kind of on console a little bit sometimes.
Kind of.
Yeah, I understand.
I mean,
Again,
the ability to multitask is much better on PC. So games that require heavy multitasking like that.
putting it on mobile. like it
Oh, yeah, no,
sounds silly,
mobile
but
would
I
be
think
great.
mobile would have been great.
Yep.
And have yourself a space there. Again, fry me alive, that's fine. But I'm telling you, from a business standpoint,
yeah.
I think that would have made the most sense for them,
Yeah.
rather than backing away and then just leaving everyone upset. For any fans who have played this game, in the comments, would you prefer? It's up here, by the way. Would you prefer them cancel the game entirely or bring it to mobile as well as PC?
Mhm.
Let me know. I'm curious.
Vote Santa or reindeer or Bata and reindeer.
Bata,
Bata.
Batanta,
Batanta.
Wait.
Batanta.
I have a transformation. You can go ahead and start.
Okay.
Oh Jesus! You come back naked. We're just leaving.
Speaking of Disney princesses leaving the stage,
Oh,
Kingdom
burn.
Hearts 3 has leaked. And John, we've talked about this a little bit
Yes,
because you're such a Kingdom Hearts fan.
I'm absolutely am not.
Not even a little bit. So there was a report given out by various gaming outlets, as well as a YouTube channel known as the Gamers. What is it? The Games Joint. You can find them. I'll ask Mark to drop a link in the comments above where you can
Down.
find that video. 7 minutes. He goes over precisely what happened. Essentially, I'm going to do the Cliff Notes version here. There is an individual who's involved in the manufacturing of the game, like someone who works at the plant where they manufacture them, who also has gang ties. And so he lifted
What?
so many copies of the game and is selling it on Facebook, supposedly through his real Facebook account. So it has his name and his image and everything.
I don't care. I am Yakuza. I will kill you.
So
What?
I'm
there-
not. I'm just.
Well, no,
Yeah.
no, 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 but still, like,
Yeah. Yep.
What?
Yep. They've only lifted Xbox One versions of the game, which makes me really think if Square Enix is gonna be like, this is not coming to Xbox One next time.
Oh man. Oh, I know that they must be flipping mad.
No
Yeah.
kidding.
So
There you go. I like that. I
much
wish
better.
I knew that you had that earlier. I'd have been wearing it already.
So basically, what I'm saying is, any Kingdom Hearts fans, be very careful of your YouTube searches because they're leaking a lot. So far, the opening cinematic, which Square Enix also released, but some of the early cutscenes, some of the early boss
The
battles.
secret ending.
See, so far nobody's gotten all the way to the end yet, as far as I understand. So that's the big concern. As time goes on, we're still over a month away from launch.
January 29th.
Yep, they have plenty of time to beat the game by then. So just be cautious, be wary.
You can put in your Twitter keywords to have taken out.
Correct.
So just put in Kingdom Hearts. You should be safe.
Yeah, so there are ways to do so. That was interesting.
I'm sure he's gonna put a GIF somewhere in there or a little animation.
I'll put one of those bees flying in here.
There you go. We're grabbing one of the bees. But I, for one, am now terrified to look at the internet. So if you are going to comment at me,
I saw that and I was like, Brett, don't look at the
Yeah.
internet.
You warned me at 10,
Like-
12:45 at night. John's and Marco bullying me. Don't look at the internet. Kingdom Hearts link. My younger brother, who watches the show, also warned me about it. He's the one who pointed me to the YouTube channel. So once again, be wary, be safe.
Be
Hopefully-
safe.
Be safe.
Oh, gang member did steal it, I guess.
Yeah, you never know. If you narc on him, he might murder you.
Ow.
Speaking of murder
Oh god.
or crime in general,
Uh-oh.
John, talk to us about the Call of Duty devs. What happened?
Dude, man, not just Call of Duty, but everybody got bomb threats.
Bomb threats.
Yeah, there was widespread bomb threats
Explosive.
asking for $20,000 in Bitcoin. Yeah, all over the countrywide. I mean,
What?
places all up in Uptown were being evacuated. A bunch of different studios.
Oh, yeah, I was hearing about this. Yeah.
I don't think you were at work that day, as a matter of fact.
Nope.
Nope. He was sick. The
What is work
yeah, right.
but a construct?
I don't think that there's been no
Until
updates.
your current employer starts watching this.
There's been no updates as to who or what decided to do all this. But I have a feeling that someone was just trying to cover the tracks and didn't want to go to work that day, so they just spread the love to everyone.
Yeah.
But
What-
it was I don't know.
Interesting
I didn't
theory.
hear anything else about it since then. But
I find it funny that they were asking for Bitcoin. Granted, it is the secure way to
it's
obtain
still
money.
the secure way to get
But
money. Like,
they
Considering
said
how the
$20,000 in Bitcoin, so no matter what, they're getting $20,000.
I was like, considering how the market's tanked, that's interesting.
Yeah,
Glad everyone made it out safe.
Yeah.
It doesn't appear
nothing
like
happened. Nothing
anybody
blew up.
bombed.
Nothing
Yeah.
happened.
I wonder if they made the money. I guess we'll
Nope.
find out.
I bet you they made $20,000.
I'm sure they did somewhere.
Yeah.
That's how that works.
Yep.
Moving on.
Don't do it.
Moving on, speaking of money,
Ooh.
talk to us about Discord's revenue share.
Interesting that Discord decided to I guess kind of push on Steam where they're saying, okay, you're gonna do 88%. Well, I'm gonna do 90%.
You mean Epic?
Epic, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Wow. Pushing against Epic saying they were going to do 88% where Discord's like, I'm going to do 90%.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, we'll see. It's not really that much of a demand, though. They're sitting there saying outright, we'll be able to make more than enough money off of this. We're not worried.
Yeah.
And that makes you really wonder exactly what that means. Like,
because I saw the quote like of, oh, well, we determined how much it actually costs to, you know, run a game repository or game center, you know, that kind of thing, or game store. And we determined that 90% is actually pretty adequate. And I was like, Smackdown! Take it, Steam. Like,
don't get me wrong, Steam's not shaking in their boots. They're not worried,
Oh,
and
no,
I don't
they're
think
still
the
the
market
biggest
share is
name.
really going to hurt them all that much. We'll have to see what Discord does in the future. It's going to be really interesting to see what they do with it, though.
Between Discord, Epic, both of them coming out this year, and granted, mostly towards the tail end of the year, but I mean, still coming here, like in getting devs like Supergiant coming over to Epic. Epic right now is also giving away Subnautica, the entire game, for free.
Yeah, I saw
so if
that.
you go to
Yeah.
their store, until December 27th, you have the opportunity to. Everyone's making these plays, but it is. I'm really fascinated to see what happens next year. Like, this is just the beginning.
Yeah.
There's no way this is the end of this fight, and Steam is going to have to make some aggressive moves eventually. Like, right now they're fine, but in 2 or 3 years, if Discord and Epic continue to make big moves like this, they're going to be left behind real quick.
Yeah.
well, so here's how I could see this going if like the two of them together were going to tackle Steam. First off, Epic's got the perfect setup for indie games
Mm-hmm.
because they're offering the engine for free for 2 years, essentially, like rolled into the was it 12%?
The 12% they're taking.
12% that they're taking, like rolled into that. So you're essentially getting an entire game engine for free to go with it. But Discord could possibly be the place to put AAA titles if some of the other guys decided they wanted to distribute them to like Steam,
If
for
they're not
example.
using Unreal Engine.
Exactly, or their own
Yeah.
platform. But I could definitely see Discord being the place to be that because Discord is the standard for PC gamers to
Yeah.
be able to communicate. TeamSpeak is a dying platform. Ventrilo doesn't even exist anymore, essentially. I mean, they still do to some extent, but not in any way close to what they used to.
Discord's so fascinating to me because they have, like, over the course of the past 2 to 3 years, just slowly, stealthily taken over messaging, and not even just on PC. I use it on mobile all the time with Pokemon Go and other systems we have set up.
It's their nature.
Yeah.
Because whenever you first launch the application, you get the little controller dude that's like spinning or whatever, doing his thing, and then like it always has some sort of weird tagline
Yeah.
that goes underneath it.
Yeah.
It's like what is it, turning the gizmos or something, you know, that's and they add to it like all the time.
Yeah.
Not to mention all the new features that have come in. But it's a stable, solid, free
Yeah.
voice communication platform.
Yeah.
That allows me to tie into any game system that I'm using that like it's taken over because it has so much integration and it's become so modern.
Yeah.
TeamSpeak used to be popular because it was robust. But if we can have robust and clean at the same time, why wouldn't we?
Yeah.
And free.
Absorbing the contents.
Right. Because TeamSpeak
That's what mine just was.
Oh, that's what it said.
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, what is wrong with you?
absorb what?
That's what his Discord just said.
That's what that one was for me. When I restarted, it was like, well, just give me a random one. It says
Oh.
absorbing the
Yeah,
content.
there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the idea is like it's always something fun. Their nature, you can just tell by as a company,
Yeah.
they do it because they love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't just do it like, and it's from their product. Like you've never had a conversation with them directly, or even if you've never had a conversation with them directly, you can tell that their product is good because they enjoy it.
No, 100%. And you can tell also that I don't think, I truly feel like Epic has the capability of being the good guy right now. So they're doing so, and they're trying to dismantle the current status quo.
Yeah,
I don't think
I
they
agree.
want Steam around, at least in its current iteration. I think they want to try and make things unstable.
They're afraid of how they could push them around here in the future, and I think that they're just solidifying their foothold.
Whereas Discord, I truly feel like they don't care what everyone else is doing.
Yep.
Like the organic thing for them next was like, hey, we're gonna do a store. And people are like, that's really weird. It's like, yeah, but you're here to play games.
Yeah.
Like to talk to your friends while you play games. Why don't we just make this a platform
Yeah,
where you
exactly.
can launch them?
That's a natural progression to me.
So I think that where those two companies are coming from are still going to affect Steam in the same way,
Oh,
but
yeah.
very different
Well,
aspects.
So
and Epic's, I mean, they're playing on a massive scale right now, and if they can own that market, they would save millions of dollars per month.
Well, so the interesting piece to me was that right before Discord launched this, I'm not even kidding you, like a couple weeks before like they launched this, Steam did a complete reevaluation essentially of their chat system
Mhm.
and completely changed it. Like redesigned the way that your friends interface is, upgraded the audio codecs so they no longer suck, and allow for group chats.
Yeah.
So like there's tons of new things that Steam decided to throw in because I guess they were losing a foothold in the chat
Yeah.
Yeah.
system, and they wanted to be able to shut them down. Maybe they caught wind that something like this was going to happen.
I'm
So
sure.
they were probably trying to shut them down early, but can't do it at that point.
Yeah,
No.
They've got too big a foothold now.
Yeah.
It's reactionary.
Well,
Yeah.
and also, I mean, just like any industry, people talk, they go to dinners.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
there's no way they didn't know Discord was spinning this up.
Mhm.
Much like I'm sure they knew about Epic Store, because literally the guy who the Steam guy who does the what is it? It's the Steam. It's their back end that goes over their sales. It's Steam Spy. The Steam Spy guy is the
Okay.
one who helped build the Epic Game Store
Oh,
based off of information from Steam Store.
Wow.
Yeah. So again, people talk. It's not like they didn't know these things, but it is. I'm fascinated to see where this goes in the next 2
Yeah.
years, because eventually, like if we're truly talking about a streaming future, Sony, Microsoft moved away from boxes, like they're all going to be competing in the same space. And what do you do then? Like this is all coming to a head over the course of the next 10 years.
They're
It's
gonna
fascinating.
find. They're
Yeah.
gonna find new things to fight over.
Yeah.
It's
It's fascinating.
things that we never thought about.
Speaking of Epic,
Yeah,
there's an Epic game that's no longer available. John, talk to us about
that's
it.
I
right.
knew you were gonna have to twist it that way.
Good old Infinity Blade.
Shing.
My first mobile game that I found. Well, no, I guess Angry Birds technically would be, but the first game that I technically spent money on was Infinity Blade.
I would say the first game that enveloped you, because Angry Birds is a pastime of like,
Yeah.
I'm bored, I'm just gonna play it. It's fun.
I got 3 stars on everything on that first like 3 seasons of that game.
See,
The
for me-
difference though is the way I watch you play Infinity Blade is the way you play Spider-Man, God
Yeah.
of War, like
Yeah,
that
very much
level
so.
of immersion.
Yeah, very much.
See,
so.
my time killer was Flappy Bird.
That's
Oh
a good
my
one.
god!
Long after
Yeah.
it even was taken
Throw
down
my
off the
phone
App Store.
against the wall. Oh my god! Anyway, Infinity Blade is coming off the iOS store.
It's gone.
Gone.
Already.
Sad. And then you know why? They don't want to have to keep up with iOS software updates.
I've
I
heard.
believe it.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was
it's a nightmare.
Yeah, I bet they were banging their head against the wall. I remember when we first started gaming, and you needed a iPhone 4 or higher to like version software to be able to play these games, which is the whole reason why I bought Steve's phone. Was because I
Yeah.
wanted to play these games, and I was like, "Well, I need an iPhone 4." Steve, you have your old phone? Yeah, thanks, buddy. So it's coming off the store, sad, but at the same time, we know it's coming back somewhere. They're working with it. This Spy Jinx is going to probably, I mean, it's coming to Fortnite.
It's in Fortnite now, and they just removed it.
Yeah.
Apparently, the blade was
Overpowered like a
Yeah.
mother.
Apparently,
Dude,
it was like
they
literally.
gave it stats like you would have an Infinity Blade. I was looking at the stats. I was like, you guys are screwed if they have this thing.
So they launched it, and
Jesus.
within 6 hours pulled it because it was so utterly
6
devastating.
hours.
Like it would, in one swing, it would take out 75 health on a character. In one swing, if you killed the character, you would gain HP. For every damage done, you would gain a certain percentage of HP back. You would, if you killed the character, you get 50% health back. If you hit a building, it would kill it, like a structure. It would take it out in one
What?
swing.
It was nuts.
It was sitting on a peak somewhere that you can go get to it. So yeah, I'm not surprised at all. It sounded OP, and I was super. When you said they took it off, and I was like, nah, that makes total sense. Just go online. We'll put the link down below. Look at all the stats. Yeah, you're pretty much God. It's worse than Thanos. And even that, I mean, I watch people kill Thanos easily. With this, I don't think it will happen.
Just remember, Thanos did nothing wrong.
Matter of fact, I think what's his face, Ninja. He got actually booted. Not booted, but he lost a tournament or something because of the introduction of swords and airplanes. So he didn't even place in a tournament that he was in, or he was trying to place for something.
Because
Specifically.
Ninja's overrated. I'm kidding.
Oh
Leave me
my
alone.
God!
Oh,
Here it
yeah.
comes.
Oh, that dog of
He
mine.
is so sorry, and he likes blue-haired people or whatever color it is this week.
No, I do hope that because they tease like, oh, the blade will be back, all this stuff. I really do hope it's not just Fortnite. Like, I do really
yeah,
hope
I
it's
want it on
coming to
Switch.
something. Switch would be
Why
amazing.
the hell wouldn't it be on Switch? It is perfect. You have motion controls and you have the swipe option if you did it right.
I would argue,
And you have more possibility for it too, for it to grow out of what, like, I mean, we've seen God of War grow
Yeah.
from what it was
Yep.
to something even better. I would love to see something like that dungeon crawling, like, kind of little RPG-esque game come to fruition of something amazing.
I would definitely argue that
No, I didn't play in 3 to be fair.
You played
One or
more
two.
than I did, but the level of like action, I truly don't think it's impossible to do on a joystick. My personal opinion, they at least test it out, try it, we'll see how it goes.
It's just the way it actually was super specific in where you swiped that made a difference. So if you hit him in the head or you hit him low, where you were blocking, because you have to remember your swipe was parrying or you had a shield that would block.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
But I definitely think Switch would be the place. I would not be surprised if they're like, and it's out on Android.
Yeah.
Simply because it's easier for them to keep up with those specs and not have to worry too much about
no
the
kidding.
ridiculous amount of patches.
Because Android makes things backwards compatible like up to a decade.
I'm surprised that it stayed on iOS only for so long. I don't even know why. Do they
'cause
have a
sales
deal
better.
or something?
Sales are better.
Sales are better, and it might have been
as an app developer.
Someone would have to be paying them only keep it on there though.
That's what I'm
app,
thinking.
as an app developer, you make more money on the App Store than you do on the Play Store.
Yep. More
Because-
people are willing to spend money
Yep.
on the App Store.
Because, think about it, people are willing to fork over $1,200 for a phone.
And rightfully so, sir.
Eh,
Eh.
I'm kidding. I don't even give a crap. I don't pay for phones.
Hopefully one day we'll see
Losers.
the Blade of Infinity once more. But until then, this has been The Important. Before we move on to the topic of the show, I do want to point out that these wonderful Christmas buckets are on sale in our store eventually. One day when we have a store.
For $5,
I was
I'll give
wondering,
you-
what- I was like, do we
ship it
have
to
a
you.
store now? What is this?
I'll ship it to you with the beer that I have left in here.
Yeah, you can have the beer. We'll put the lid on the Christmas bucket. These are terrible. I love them so much. So to cap off this terrible show, along with this
Cap off.
interesting year that we've had of 2018, we're going to discuss for our topic of the show the best and worst of 2018. We were talking about doing this as like movies, games. I kind of want to make it broad spectrum to have whatever you want, and you get one of each. You get one good, one best, one worst.
Yeah. Or favorite or best.
That would be best.
Because no.
You get one
My
best.
favorite or the best.
No. You can give a shout out real quick if you want, but you're getting a best and you're getting a worst. I'm probably going to stick to entertainment properties because that's what I tend to gravitate towards. We could definitely get political if we wanted to, but I kind of don't want to. It's the holidays. You don't talk
We
politics
don't
with
talk politics
family.
with drinking.
I mean, I talk politics with
No,
drinking all
no.
the time. Hey,
Yeah, not on camera. Kids gotta
MAGA.
be watching this.
Why not on camera?
not on camera. So I will go ahead and start it off.
Okay. Hit me up.
I'm going to start off with my best.
Feeling you.
This is a tough one because it's been.
We really feeling him. I
Oh,
guess we gotta
hey.
get him.
Now it's just getting
Here we go.
weird. Okay. I just wanted it to be a me and him thing. Now you're touching him. It's just, I can't do this. Just kidding.
We're just- we were
It's-
talking
it's
about
not, it's not gay when it's in a three-way.
What? That is.
You can be gay or straight, doesn't matter what you are. We love you anyways.
Yeah. How does that not make it that way though?
Because
You've never heard the song.
It's
huh?
kind of like it's kind of like canceling out. So if you
Some
have
people I don't know. That.
one gay man and another gay man, they're gay. But if you have another one, it nullifies the situation. I don't know why we're doing this. Let's get out of here quick.
I already was out. You came back in. That's all I'm saying.
Once again,
The closet?
gay or straight, we love you.
Yep.
I just like being insulting to everybody. So the best,
I hate everyone equally.
I think I'm going to hit it with the top, the Game Award winner of 2018, God of War,
I know.
and I'm going to steal it.
Yeah.
You could have jumped in first.
I know.
Um,
I wanted to see where you're going, then I was going to go to my other homeboy.
So God of War is a reinvention of his franchise that speaks very much to me as an adult, like getting older, growing in my own emotions and how I view the world. I'm no longer that angry child I was when I played the originals. So watching Kratos kind of move in a similar direction, not entirely, but kind of coping with those feelings and trying to figure out what to do with them on top of the responsibilities of raising a child was fascinating to watch. And not just in a like, oh, this is kind of cool watching the change. Like it was an
It was dynamic.
it was utterly heartbreaking at times,
Right.
but fulfilling to watch the entirety of the journey that they make. On top of the changes to gameplay, the wonderful world design, like that game is epic in every sense of the world.
Yep.
Word.
The
World is dynamic. It grows consistently. It's constantly changing as you play through the game. The combat itself is something that I can't really put words to because it's simple on paper. And when you watch it, it doesn't look extraordinary. Like it looks good.
It starts out as good old God of War, kind
Yeah,
of
hack
fighting,
and
so-
slash but the combination of the throw with the like the specific action of pulling back, which I truly think is what makes that game, is something that we haven't seen in games and is so hard to really understand until you've done it. Because boomerangs have been in games, Zelda has them all the time, guns, you could throw swords, like everything that you throw either stays away or it comes back automatically. That's just how that works. Arguably the most complex situation we see here is like Breath of the Wild, where you throw a boomerang and you have to position yourself just right to catch it. I realize it's moving away from the mic. I'm sorry. But this is a very much, I'm going to throw this axe.
Right.
I'm going to hit an enemy. It's going to go in the wall behind them. I'm now going to use my bare fist on the guy behind me, take him out. And then as the other person swings at me, I'm going to call that axe back. It's going to stop them. I have now stunned them for that second and I have an opening. Like,
You actually multitask your next
Yeah.
move.
So
and everything.
methodical if you want it to be, or not if you can. It's beautiful.
It is utterly amazing. And the challenges in that game are totally up to the player. Like, as you get stronger, you'll come across stronger enemies. But if you want to fight them early on, you have access to plenty of challenges right at the beginning of the game, and they will kill you. Like, kill you dead again and again and again.
You did.
So I can go on all night, but my best for 2018 has to be God of War. It really spoke to me on an emotional level. As a game, it's just utterly fantastic. Can't say enough about it. So I got to stop now because I'll just keep going.
Oh, yeah, it's easy to do so. It is. I mean,
Yeah.
that was a good choice. All right, Mark.
So-
are we gonna go?
I was gonna say, we doing best?
Or are you gonna go through your list? Or-
I'm gonna do best, and then we'll do worst.
All right.
And on a low note.
I'm gonna give a shout out because I can't choose to Spider-Man because I did love that game and it was so much better than I ever thought it could be.
Oh, agreed.
I mean,
Bless you.
it had no right
Bless
to be
your
that
happy
good.
ass.
The game design was beautiful, but I have to say I'm gonna give it to Far Cry 5.
Interesting. Okay.
Okay.
All right, even though the online multiplayer was trash, it still had it was no. I mean, I say this because it was kind of glitchy, but it was fun. Like the way you could level create, have other people play it, and they even had like a kitchen that was you were like ants essentially in this giant kitchen,
What?
and you're going. It's really cool. I'll actually show you a couple of vids online.
That's
But
interesting.
my favorite parts about it was really the tranquility of the chaos that was in this Montana-esque. I was gonna Montana or Kansas.
Montana.
Yeah, because of the mountains.
Yep.
So like
That's
the
West
fishing in itself was just so relaxing. Me and Brian would just literally go out and fish. We spent entire nights just talking and fishing. Like it was truly a connection. Then we go
Like
out
an
and blow some
actual
people
fishing
out with
trip.
some grenades.
So you
Yeah, I
can
was
do
gonna
that in
say,
the real world. You can
realize
actually
you
go
could
to Montana.
Just go to.
No, it's,
No, you
it's
don't
not
even
that
have
we
to.
can.
There's a lake
I
on
know,
two sides
I know.
of the city.
It's
like-
time.
I'm
So
giving-
therefore, we
I'm
come
giving
to
you
this
shit.
world, right?
Yeah.
But it was. I mean, compared to other Far Cry's, between Far Cry 4 and Far Cry 5, it like in differences between it, it's not a whole lot except for the scenery, what you're dealing with, like obviously the storyline stuff. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
I'll pour your paint can.
But it definitely got me because I was going through a real lull. Like there was a good time in the beginning of the year. Like I platinumed like 3 games by February, and I was like,
Jeez.
you know what? Oh, dude, that doesn't even touch it compared to what our final end's going to be at the end of this year.
I think I'm at 14 this year.
I'm probably close to. I'm behind you. Once I platinum
Ooh.
the C one,
You guys are both
Man by the
impressive.
Sea. Man by the Sea.
Brilliant minutes.
Brilliant Minutes,
You're like
yeah.
the C one. I'm like,
But I haven't played it in a minute, so I
ready?
can't remember.
Are you ready? Time code. That's what I thought you were going for.
What?
You said the C one, as in the C
The
one.
C word.
And I was like, okay.
Once I do that, I think I'll be at 13.
We're like an old Irish bar now.
Yeah, I know, right?
Had enough to
Glass,
drink at this point.
glass houses, 6 ships. But Far Cry 5 really brought me back into gaming because I was in such a lull that I didn't foresee myself really coming back into games for much. Like,
Yeah.
and then I got into Far Cry 5 and I was right back into it, and I was in love with the world. Like, it was silly, just like any other Far Cry would be. Had a lot of ode tos, like to Blood Dragon. Even there was a mini mission that you would go into this set that they would. He was just nuts. It was
That's
so
cool.
it was cool.
That's
I
awesome.
enjoyed it. But yeah, shout out to Spider-Man. You were a close second, brother.
No, I agree with that entirely.
All right.
Since he took
Dispatcher.
God of War, so technically he'd be third.
Ooh. All right. So both of you guys are going the gaming route. I'm going to switch to the other side of media.
I'm excited.
Movies.
Do it.
Because the one most striking movie to me all year was Infinity War.
Okay.
Okay. I have watched it 3 times now, and there is not a single time that I have not gotten to the ending of it and just been staring at it, gaping with my mouth open, like, there's no way it ends like this. It just doesn't. It just doesn't end like this. No, like
Spoiler alert.
there hasn't been a single Marvel movie that has ended on a bad note like this. That has ended with massive amounts of people dying and just that's it. Like you got to stop and wait for the next one, and it's such a cliffhanger to me that I'm like clawing for the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I haven't had this kind of suspense for the next movie in a long time.
Yeah. Okay.
And Marvel's always done a good job of, oh, this is the hero movie and everything goes great, and at the end of it, everything works out fine. You know, not this time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It kind of took a DC turn almost of it's got to be dark, it's got to be
Yeah.
grungy. You know,
Are we
it's
worried
got to
about
be
spoilers?
bad. What's that?
How much you gonna spoil for how? Well, here's
The
what we're gonna
ending.
do. Okay.
I'm gonna leave it as it is. I was just gonna
I'm
leave it
going to wave my hand in front of the camera, and if you are afraid of Infinity War spoilers, go away until you see my hand wave again. Just mute us. Just mute. You're fine. You understand how technology works.
Or I'm just gonna put a nice like,
Spoiler alert. Go.
So when I saw the meme of Robert Downey Jr. playing in the sand and going, "Oh, I love seeing Iron Man playing with Spider-Man," I died laughing. Oh my god!
There are so many of them. It's not even funny.
The best part is like our friend was looking at on Discord, looking at the picture, goes, "I don't get it," and I was like,
Oh my gosh.
"Let me tell you why this is funny."
Spoilers are over. Come back to us. Welcome back, child.
I'll have to put a time code on this.
Yeah,
now
I'm
that
sure you'll
I'm
figure it
marking, but,
You can just delete it for all I care. I just thought that was funny.
No, it was one of those things that just sort of struck me this year, and like I said, every time I go back and watch it,
Yeah.
it just strikes me again the same way because I just don't expect it because it plays out like every other hero movie, and then it just doesn't.
I feel like very few movies do that nowadays. Like have a high impact.
No, I agree. What I think is key here is the impact is, in my opinion, relevant to how relevant those movies are to you.
Mhm.
So like if you've been with the Marvel universe, like we all have been. I think we can easily say we've been here since the beginning, seen a majority of them, not all of them.
Only one I haven't seen is Ant-Man and Wasp.
I know, and that's
Yeah,
the one I
me
want to
too.
see too. I heard
Yeah.
it's pretty good. So
Yeah, I know. I just time, man.
well and it's not on Netflix yet. Come on, Netflix, up your game.
Do you know that's not going to happen anymore?
I
Right?
thought Ant-Man and the Wasp was gonna be the last film they would drop.
Is it supposed to be?
Yeah, because they have a contract. Like right now,
Oh yeah, and well until they've dropped them all on Hulu.
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, not Hulu, on Disney's streaming service.
Hulu.
It's not gonna be Hulu. It's
It's Disney
owns-
Plus.
Disney-
It's actually
Disney owns it only if they finish their purchase of Fox, but they're technically opening Disney Plus their own streaming
I thought
service.
they already owned Fox.
It says Disney
Not
Plus,
yet.
but it's just called Disney, by the way.
Yeah, no. But I digress. So I think that matters a lot because I'm with you. Walking out of that theater after seeing that film,
You just sort of like
you're just like, there was a silence. Like everyone just kind of sat there
Yeah.
like,
yeah, because all of a sudden like the ending scenes come up and you just sort of sit and the credits roll and it's like, what just happened?
and then it ends specifically, which I think is very important. Thanos will return.
Yeah.
That's how the movie, like if you go all the way through all the credits,
There's-
the
and
extra
there's-
credit scene is Thanos will return.
And for those of you who haven't seen it yet, there is no extra scene at the end of this. This is it.
yeah,
like the-
just those words.
Yep.
Now
Thanos
there is
will
a
return.
trailer that's out right now, and
Yes.
it was awesome.
It was great.
Yeah.
Very much a great teaser.
Hot.
I am
Super hot.
super hot. I'm surprised about the way I'm not sure how I feel about the title of the newest film. But we can talk about
feel
that
like
another
it's
time.
really bland.
The one thing people point out is that, Doctor Strange has a line in Infinity
know.
War where he goes,
Yeah.
"We're in the end game now,"
Yeah.
and that's
It's
kind
the
of cool.
end game. It's the end game.
So
Let's get some ice, please.
There was actually more than that. There was apparently there was like 3 or 4 instances, but they're like, "Oh, it was alluding to it." I'm like, "But that's a common saying." I feel like you're just rounding
Checkmate.
that in there, you know?
Yeah. No, I definitely, they may have thought about it. I would say they've probably very well did think about it, considering how well this has been mapped over the course of the universe's creation. However, I don't think anybody could have foreseen it. Like, I don't think anybody was sitting there when Infinity War came out and was like, oh, that's the title. That's the title. I bet you that's the title. And now that it's out, the people are like,
2020 is great,
I knew
bro.
It. I knew it.
Yeah,
That
because he
was the
said
title.
Endgame right there.
Yeah, that was it.
I knew it.
That was it.
Whatever.
But no, that's a great. I like that one a lot. So I guess it's on to the
I
negative.
think the name is bland.
So
Jeez, bro.
Skip over me because
Good thing you ain't driving tonight.
whatever.
Yeah. Skip over UI.
Because I honestly, you guys told me you told me this at dinner, and I have been thinking about this nonstop, and I cannot think of like the one big thing that like affected me.
It could literally be the smallest thing in the world that affected you.
Yeah.
It's just if
This is it.
you're worse than 2018 or so minuscule,
The Razer phone,
There we go.
Ooh,
the
yeah.
Razer phone 2.
we have it. Our first worst.
The biggest,
First worst.
the biggest disappointment I think I've had this year.
Yeah.
At the price,
Yeah.
this phone, the OnePlus 6T, same specs with everything except for the wireless charging, which was also awful on that phone, and front-facing speakers, of course. This phone at $200 cheaper is easily twice as usable as the Razer Phone 2 was.
That's sad.
Yeah. That is.
Easily. And it's just small things about it. Like, it gives you that modern phone feel because it's an edge-to-edge display. You have the in-screen fingerprint reader. You've got the swipe gestures because you're running Oxygen OS, which is their or a OnePlus's version of Android anyway. Their modifications thrown in, but you still get base Android, and it's completely customizable because OnePlus, starting out as a small company as they were, started out with a ROM or root-based operating system called CyanogenMod that was explicitly for customization of your phone. So they kept that idea alive, but they've also kept the community idea alive. And you got none of that with the Razer phone
Yeah.
for $200 more.
Ugh.
And it was honestly one of the most annoying things to me because I'm spending this much money on a phone. I would expect to have some sort of flagship experience here.
Yeah.
You know, and instead I've paid less than half what I would have paid for example, a Pixel 3 XL, gotten the same size screen, the similar design, and maybe I'm missing a few software features because it's the other one's a Google phone. But to me, this is a much better choice. The Pixel 3 XL would have been a much better choice than trying to go with the Razer phone.
That really is a shame because I liked the concept of what they're going with, the audio capabilities for sure, and then just the beefier specs.
Yeah.
But
Well, it's not even beefier specs. It's
Oh,
the
really?
Same
Same
process-
specs? Okay.
Same processor, same graphics processor.
okay, wow.
The only difference is 120 hertz display, which is a cool gimmick.
Mhm.
I will put it that way. For somebody who games more often, the ROG phone,
Mhm.
the Asus or Republic of Gamers ROG.
Jesus.
Asus.
Asus. Yeah.
I don't know. I've heard it pronounced a lot of different ways.
It's okay.
But anyway, the RG phone, the Republic of Gamers phone, did a much better job at a much cheaper price and looks that much better.
Okay.
It's a much better phone to hold. It has front-facing speakers. It has wireless charging. It has a headphone jack, which, the Razer Phone 2 didn't have. I think it's got a headphone jack anyway. But it doesn't have the 120 hertz display. It has a 90 hertz display, but it's an OLED display, not a TN panel. So it's a much better experience to work with, but it's also a phone at the same time. It's still a flagship phone. And it was just much better.
Okay.
So the biggest disappointment for me anyway, or the biggest negative for me was the Razer Phone 2.
First worst, Razer Phone 2.
Yeah.
What you got first, John?
Man, I don't know. Honestly, there wasn't too much that really disappointed me this year. This was an awesome year in games.
Mhm.
This was a good year in movies. And I mean, for the ones that I saw anyway, because obviously I have no time. But I think I'm gonna come down to not a specific thing, but a mentality.
Okay.
And that is the corporate greed mentality that seems to be plaguing the video game industry.
Okay.
With microtransactions and how like certain people seem to be kind of almost
Corporate apologists and shills like on this show.
no.
To play the other side of the coin, I guess, for microtransactions specifically, I thought it was funny that the pariah of the show was to say you had microtransactions. Like the one thing that everyone specifically had to say in their presentations was, yeah, no microtransactions.
Yeah. And I'm like, the whole thing in general just kind of makes me sick. I think that it should be okay, obviously, like, but at the same time, I understand where people are coming from. I'll let them hash it out in the end. I just feel like it's just going to be a dark cloud over the next couple of years with games, and I feel like it's going to affect what a game could have been. But then I've seen it destroy games, though I've seen games like Fortnite use it well. But at the same time, I really hated it for the industry.
Do you have a specific example of this year, one game that bothered you, or are you just talking about a generalization?
In general, just the way that it's come up and the way that I feel like the gaming industry has had to defend itself, even from, I mean, the loot box stuff now is going in from Belgium to Australia, and even the US now is being investigated. And to a point of like where they're acting like it's malicious, which I don't think it is. I think they're just trying something different to try to better a system and change a system that they feel like isn't working and into one that is. And they're just, for some reason, they're getting involved. And I feel like, the government doesn't need to. I think that people will solve that issue for them. I don't think it's a necessary thing, but it's affecting them in a way that I feel like might not be good in the end. And we'll see what happens later on. You had that negative with EA and Battlefront. That come out this year?
Battlefront 2? Battlefront 2 came out last year, but
Was it last year?
It continued through this year. So
not for very long.
That was the one that comes to mind, but I was trying to like keep it a little bit more relevant. We saw a lot of games backtrack. Obviously, especially the ones that were going out saying "and no transactions." Yeah. Those are the ones that definitely had it, and now no.
You know what game they didn't say that about?
God of War.
Anthem.
Oh yeah,
that's true. But Anthem's one of those games I see trying to.
It's going to be an open world thing. There's no way you're not. No, they kind of did because they said there was going to be more hunters. For like, is that going to be DLC?
Loot boxes.
I know, but I'm saying like, you see that coming though.
Santa hat.
I mean, it's EA, yes.
I mean, even after all that, after all this shit,
100%.
Okay. I mean, we never heard anything about boxes from the alpha that was played,
and we never heard anything about loot boxes for any of the other games that released until the game's released.
All right, fair enough.
I don't think it's going to be as pervasive, but yes, just like Division has boxes, and again, loot box isn't a dirty word, which is I think what one of the points you're getting to is like. Don't mean it's bad. The problem is the way the industry has been utilizing them.
Yeah, you realize every time you say the word box, now I'm gonna have to bleep you out.
Please, for the love of God,
it's a dirty word.
Please do.
I hope that they come up with a standard that is accepted both, for the industry in itself and to consumers, and move forward and create something that can be great without causing a bunch of controversy every time a new game is built.
Sell Anthem for $80, you cowards. I understand that people are going to be upset about it, but they will buy it because it's a BioWare game and they love BioWare. Do it. Play with the
someone's got to be the first one to take the step.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I know that you don't want to be the one to, screw it up. Do it with a strong game that you have a lot of heart in and you have a lot of faith in. And I think that you will be surprised to see what the results will be.
I agree. To combat the decriers, I'm sure, that are watching the show right now, quick, very much probably not accurate history lesson. When the NES and SNES came out, game prices were variable depending upon the game and the retailer. So it really didn't matter. They would set Earthbound at $100. They'd set Final Fantasy to $40. It was completely up to the retailer and what they thought the value of the game was. When we hit the PlayStation 1 era, along with N64, games were valued at $50, and that's pretty much what they sent the games out as. That's where the recommended retail value comes from, was that era of games. Going into PlayStation 2, they kept the $50, but when PS3 hit, Blu-ray discs are more expensive, so they bumped everything up to $60. And we've maintained that $60 price point for over a decade now.
It needs to change.
It needs to change because it's not sustainable, or else we get things like loot boxes.
And it needs to be $55. Fine, you want loot boxes, make it $50.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm okay with that.
I think you end up with going back to one of our old topics of crunch.
Yeah.
If you can afford the staff because your games cost more, then you don't end up with as much crunch. You don't end up with developers who want to pull their own hair out.
Yeah, that's another thing too. Like that really hurt the industry was crunch.
Not only that, I'm sorry, but like valuing Witcher 3, which is arguably, if you do everything in that game, it's a 300-hour game.
That's insane.
To the same value as Ratchet and Clank. Well, that's a bad example because they put it at 40. But
Yeah.
God of War is a great game.
Battlefield 5 or Call of Duty.
Yeah,
even,
like those are anywhere between 40, 60. Like those are where you put your value into. But like God of War, you're putting in Spider-Man 20 hours to 40 hours per game, right?
God of War should have easily been $80.
I think God of War is fine at 60. I think Witcher should have been 80 or 100.
Oh, I think that's what I was going to go with.
Yeah.
Witcher should have been at least 100.
Like,
But I think God
You
of War
think
should
even
have been
God of War should have been 80?
yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, just because the amount of time
And
the
5.5
work
years,
that went
yeah.
into
Yeah.
it, like it's a lot of money shoveled into a game like that.
The point is, this isn't the same as honestly, even DVDs, movies. Like the amount of time and effort dependent upon the game, plus your value worth. Like arguably any movie you get is anywhere between an hour and a half to 3 hours. Like no one's insane. Most people aren't insane enough to put it at 4 or above, but you're getting that same value. So you're spending $30 on a movie. Like it's roughly the same amount of time entertainment wise you're getting.
Right.
The games industry is not the same. So having a spectrum and an idea that we should all be priced the same makes no sense.
Yeah.
But we can talk about this later in the
Yeah,
topic.
I was about to say, we'll see what happens with the industry and how they want to attach it, because right now it's either going to be a price increase or it's going to be loot boxes for life. And I hope to God that it really doesn't just go one way or another, but we need someone to take that first step. And
Agreed.
we need someone to get to that $80 price point to get them satisfied and hope. And I mean, granted, okay, $80. I mean, I'm sorry, but that's sufficient for a 40-hour game.
Mhm.
Or at least get to a point where we like start having these discussions where it's like, okay, you know what? This indie game needs to be $15, $20. This one is definitely, based on time, based on
Okay, you put 3 months work into this. You
Yeah.
just only really deserve probably $20 to $30 out of this.
yeah, or you put in 10 years worth of this and this is a 200-hour game. This should be a $120 game.
Yeah, exactly.
The indies are already self-regulating to that degree. Like you're looking at Jonathan Blow, who made The Witness. He's like, it's $40.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, because
That's what it is.
They probably know honestly that they're not going to be able to compete in the market unless their prices are lower. I mean, there's no way you're going to be able to take like a game like I'll be honest, Monument Valley, which even comes from a bigger name like that. Like it was a $10 game, I think it was, but granted it's a mobile game, but you're still not going to compete with the $15, $20
No.
games anyway, like some of the full-fledged racing games, that kind of thing. It's minimal art. It's a very good story, but it's a minimalist kind of game. Maybe.
And shout out to Square Enix. I don't give them many shout outs because they screw up a lot, but they have ported a majority, if not all, of their back catalog to mobile. So that would be Final Fantasy, Dragon Age, wow, Dragon Quest. Almost all of them are $10 or more. Because those games are worth more.
Yeah.
They are. Like the amount of value you get out of Final Fantasy 9, it's $21 on mobile.
Yeah.
It's worth it. It is worth every penny. But they're not selling nearly as much as some of those lower ends, but they refuse to lower the price, and I give them props.
I have to say, playing that game with you with all those mods, I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
But if I had to watch you play that game
No.
normally, I'd have pulled my freaking hair out.
If I had to play normally, we would have been there for 12 hours.
Oh
And
my
I'd be really
God.
upset by the end of it. So my worst is going to be, I'm sorry, are you done?
I am. Now,
Okay.
let's move on.
Yeah.
To the worst of the worst.
The worst of the worst. The worst of the worst is actually very personal to me. It has something to do with this year, but also not necessarily everything to do with this year. Television for me this year was extremely hit or miss.
Really?
There are some excellent seasons of like Ozark season 2 is phenomenal on Netflix. I went back finally and rewatched Ballers
Oh, yeah?
all the way up. Loved every second of
Really?
it.
See,
Yeah.
I haven't finished it yet.
It's on my list of things to do.
so good.
I'm so
So-
excited.
it's
Season
much-
4 just dropped.
It's much of the same. Like if you liked what the beginning was, you're gonna like where it ends.
Oh, cool. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not over yet. They have another
It's-
season.
It's more drama with
Yeah,
rich people.
it's
Yeah,
so
I mean,
good. So
So
good.
its final season is to be the 5th.
I don't know if it's gonna be the final season, but there's a 5th season coming. So
Because I heard rumors about.
I know.
Was that real?
Nope, there's a 5th season happening.
Good.
So we're good.
So we're hyping this, except this is supposed to be talking about the worst.
Correct.
Yeah.
So
Sorry.
however, I found a lot of shows that I was greatly attached to last year. I just could care less about.
Yeah.
The Lore television show season 2 came out. I watched an episode and dropped it almost immediately.
Yeah,
For
that's sad.
no reason other than it didn't get me. I'm starting Man in the High Castle season 3, but Man in the High Castle season 1 and 2 came out. I was there.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Day one. And this season, I could not care enough about the show. And same with anime. You and I have had multiple conversations where I'm picking stuff up and putting it down and picking it up and putting it down. And I don't know what to do, but there's something about 2018, this year, in which most television is just not working for me at all. To
I
this,
totally agree.
yeah. I mean, movies. I watched Blockers last night, which is hilarious.
I heard it was good.
If you have not watched Blockers, has John Cena.
Oh god, the guy from Hall Pass.
I'm gonna have to look it up.
Or I'm sorry, he's
He's been in a couple
Hangover.
films.
See, I've seen all these movies
What is
and I
his
have no clue.
name?
Like John Cena, of course, I know who John Cena is.
Yeah.
Oh, dude,
nobody's ever seen him though.
That butt chugging part. Oh my god,
Hilarious.
What?
No,
Dude,
seriously.
it's in my mouth.
So Blockers worked really well because it was a high school like coming of age tale from the parents' perspective,
Interesting.
Mhm.
and it worked incredibly well. So it would be John Cena, Leslie Mann, who is amazing, and then Ike Barinholtz. You probably don't know Ike Barinholtz from his name, but you've seen him in things.
You've seen this face.
guaranteed it.
Interesting.
Absolutely hilarious. I watched that last night, and I also watched
Forgive me.
Rampage.
Forgive me. I need to go downstairs to check on something.
Go ahead.
Could possibly have been delivered that we should all be very excited about.
I am excited
Ooh,
about it.
I'm excited.
I watched Rampage last night, and those are I watched Baywatch earlier in like this month. Like they're stupid movies, but I gained more entertainment value from watching those three films than I did. I watched the first episode of Man in the High Castle, and I'm forcing myself
No way. Really?
just to watch. It's not bad. It's not bad. It's not getting me.
Yeah. See, me and you are pretty much on the same path because right now, like that's why I went to the anime spectrum.
Yeah.
Is because I've been trying to catch up with Netflix and HBO, and I'm like, I'm just not in the mood for this.
Yeah.
Like I was getting out of the mood for games, and then Far Cry came. I got back in the mood for games, but after I got into my lull around July to September, I literally my last platinum 3 games in September, and all of them big. Rayman. Anyway.
Yeah.
I had no want to go to the real world. I wanted to be in Fantasyland.
Yeah.
I didn't want the ballers. I wish, dude, if you gave me another season of Brink, I might have come back. But I just couldn't get there. I mean,
Yeah.
even watching John Oliver's show, I'm just not there.
Yeah.
And or not John Oliver, Stephen Colbert.
Yeah.
I just not there.
I think part of it is
Tired of the real world, man.
tired of the real world. I think part of it also is the desire to not be attached to something. Like the one thing I like about Blockers.
My man, I know what this is.
I'm glad you guys know what this is. I'm terrified. I think part of it is that the fact that when it comes to a TV show, you have to commit or you don't.
Right.
Like you're either in or you're out. And
100%.
so right now, I just don't feel like being committed to something. So I'm
Get to work, buddy.
okay. He's getting stuff done.
Oh yeah, we're
So-
still talking.
So I just want to say I think that was my big letdown of 2018 when it comes to the entertainment spectrum. Movies was there for me for a while, but I'm kind of excited about Into the Spider-Verse. I did like Black Panther and I liked Infinity War, and I watched a bunch of movies this year that are like I get Blockers, which came out, which was really good. Rampage, I actually enjoyed more than I should have.
Still have to
Yeah.
see Into the Spider-Verse because everybody said that
It's
it's
supposed to be
amazing, but
phenomenal.
It, looks
It will
really
happen
cool.
before the end
Yeah.
of the year. I am seeing this movie. I don't care how I have to go by myself. It'll be fine.
In Ireland.
no,
we,
we can't see that in Ireland.
we can talk about Christmas Day with me if you're willing to come to us.
You gonna be here for Christmas? I thought you were leaving Christmas
We're
Day.
literally leaving Christmas night, which is when you have to be at our place, but we can talk about that off the show.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyways, so that was my big kind of letdown. And again, it may be more personal, but let us know what your best and worst are for 2018 up in the comments above and to the right. I know it's
He can't
really hard to
defend himself.
find.
Down here.
Yeah, I know it's really
Down
hard
here.
to find, but you'll be able to see them over there up in the right. But now it's time for last call.
Wait for it.
I'm ready.
Oh Lord, I've got to rip the plastic off first.
Oh, we'll wait.
We'll
Because
find-
I mean, you
I
guys are literally
forgot this
getting
is
the
happening.
unwrapping. You're getting everything. All right?
We want you to know we're dedicated to this show.
Damn right.
You know how we're dedicated to this show? We bought a fucking bell
That's right, baby.
to ring for last call.
Woo woo.
That's right. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. So as we finish our drinks from our Christmas buckets, our chalices of crystal, we want to know from you and from ourselves, what are you looking forward to in 2019?
To the future.
I can start because mine's fairly personal. One, I'm looking forward to my honeymoon. I'm very excited. I'm going to Ireland, the UK, and Wales John, you'll be joining us on the back half of that trip.
Yep.
But
Because I don't want to be on the front half.
no, you don't. We're going to London and a couple other places over there, which I'm very excited about. Of course, we're going to see our good friend Aoife, who we met
Yep.
the last time we were in Ireland.
God, we were in college.
College that
junior
time.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a while. It was a while ago.
Feels like a long time
Yeah.
ago. Really is not, but it.
But I'm also looking forward to 2019 having new adventures here. I think we're going to flesh this out some more. You guys
Yep.
seem to be enjoying the new format, which I'm very excited
And
about.
This is, of course, going to continue to evolve. We still have more things to do
put
with the
up,
set, more things that we want to do with
Got lots of ideas.
our format. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you have any ideas, please leave them in the comments below.
Above to the right. That game came
The
out this
funny part
week.
is they'll look at that and see above to the left.
Doesn't matter. I'm also looking forward to the bloodbath that is February and March for game
Oh my
releases.
God,
Oh,
yes.
Lord.
Yeah,
Very much so.
like we have Anthem, we have Division 2, Devil May Cry, One Piece
games-
World Seeker.
The games develop their own battle royale, and the ring
And
is
they
called
fight
Time.
each other, yeah.
Right?
It just slowly encroaches.
My man.
I love it. I love
Perfect.
it. So those things aside, there's also a couple of books I'm very excited for. I just recently bought Jason Schreier's book. I'm going to bring it with me on the trip, so hopefully I can read some of that. Blood, Sweat, and Pixels. I've read excerpts. It's fantastic so far.
Interesting.
Excited to dive further into that. And then, of course, there's some personal projects that I've been slowly working on. The wedding and the honeymoon have kind of put me off.
Yeah.
2019 seems to be the year where I'm going to get those going forward, and I'll talk about them more when that happens.
Yeah.
I'll want to do more plugs myself. I guess
Yeah.
I'll roll into myself here.
Go ahead.
Because I'm just going to take
Head
over
it
John. 2019, looking ahead, personal projects, 100%. This year has been kind of engulfed with personal problems and family issues, and things like that. So I'd be excited to get my weekends back to be able to
Oh, yeah.
Take
be able
it
to
back.
do my own thing finally, and be able to sort of catch myself up on the last 9 months. It's been 9 months now.
Hashtag Mark II.
9 months, and I've had 5 or 6 weekends off in 9 months. Now.
You're a wonderful family member. I just want you to know that.
Yeah, man, you're a trooper.
You are a
You the
trooper.
bomb.
I've been rewarded with a cruise in April, so
There you go. There you
coming.
go.
yeah. I'll have to do a little mini vlog for that one, but
Please.
Yeah.
But,
Take me with you.
no, but 2019 is going to be the year where I finally pick up. I've sat along for long enough and sort of put things off anyway to a point that we were so close come March. And then as soon as everything collapsed with my life, it seemed like everything else around me collapsed as well.
Mhm.
So app coming along, that's been in the works now for a little while. And
Yeah.
thankfully I've gotten myself to a point with it where I understand it well enough and I can continue with it and finish it. So
Good.
the idea is to have an app release next year.
Awesome.
I
There you
have my own server that I've actually deployed out in some other part of the state here. I don't know why my brain's not working with the name of the town right now.
Wisconsin.
Yes, Wisconsin, North Carolina.
Correct.
No, but
Feels like it sometimes.
no, but I'm migrating all my stuff. That I'm consolidating resources. I'm learning more as I go about. I bought a Kindle so I can finally read a lot of in-depth educational books for things. Like the idea is I want to expand myself this year.
Awesome.
So my preliminary, I guess, 2019 resolution is to, as a whole, better myself, knowledge and experience. Physical's still left up in the air.
Yeah, I feel you there.
I'll get there. But
A little less Five
if I
Guys,
don't-
a
if
little
I
more
don't, that's
salad.
okay.
Well, I mean, you could slowly work on that while you're putting more effort into the others.
As I, continue to drink beer and liquor with these guys.
Hey,
And that's
hey.
why we get to work it out later.
Exactly. That's what salads are for. That's awesome. I'm very excited for your 2019.
Yeah, man.
I'm excited for your 2019.
Oh,
And
Now let's get excited for John's 2019.
the beginning of my 2019 is going to start great. I'm going to be in Ireland
yeah.
with my best bud. We're going to have a good time. We love Ireland. I want to eventually retire in Ireland.
Yeah.
I will eventually end up in
Wow,
Ireland.
okay.
I have no problem with this.
Yeah.
idea.
I love everything about that place. It is such a different world. The people are a different world. The expectations are amazing. And no one wants to talk to you unless you want to talk to them first. It's great.
That's awesome, actually.
But when you start talking to them, they're the sweetest people on the planet.
My God.
Like,
I literally
Everyone keeps themselves until you like burst through that bubble kind of thing, or
We won't go through the story, but we legitimately had a family of 7 walk us off a train, walk us to the front door of our hostel,
happened at midnight, by the way.
and then go, okay, well, we'll see you guys later to get back on the train. They had no reason to get off the train. They just
What?
wanted to make sure we got to where we were going.
That's amazing.
Correct.
Yeah, love this place. Love
Amazing.
everything about it. And then, talking about, wanting to stay out of the real world, obviously I can't get away from politics nowadays. I'm trying to stay informed without driving myself crazy.
Yeah.
Good luck with that. by
Aren't
the
we
way.
all?
Yeah. For all you guys that are like 18 right now, it's coming. Believe me, the hammer's going to drop if it hasn't already.
Everyone thinks it's great to vote until you actually have to vote.
Yeah.
Then it's a burden.
But I'm looking forward to actually changing the way I do things. I'm starting out a workout regimen to change
okay.
my fat shitty body into something
Visage.
into something that is slightly more solid. But I'm not talking six pack. I'm talking just acceptable. I'll be happy with that. But I want to read more.
Yeah.
I have fallen out of my reading, like even regardless of it being, fiction or nonfiction, getting back into
Somebody's borrowing a book from me.
I know.
Shit.
North Mythos that I borrowed, by the way,
In April.
for God of War. But the thing is, like, I listened to the Lore podcast, so I got caught up, and it was or not Lore,
Myths and mythology.
Legends.
Yeah.
And so I got caught up already. So I was like, I don't really need this right now. But
Neil
I need to
Gaiman
catch-
is an artist.
Yes, he is. Aaron Mankey is too. If you guys haven't watched this podcast, both Lore and Myths and Legends, you
He
need
doesn't
to.
do myths and legends. He
Huh?
only does lore.
No, Aaron Mankey does. I know.
No, he doesn't do myths and legends, though.
I know that.
You said.
You said the other name.
I did not.
Oh, I thought you did. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I couldn't remember. I thought he said a different name.
We're good.
On the note of reading more, if
Yeah.
unless you specifically prefer the feel of a physical book in your hand, I 100% recommend a Kindle.
And you're absolutely right. I love physical books. I actually buy my books. I've tried doing I even have bought the same book 3 times, trying it on 3 different things to see what I like most. I can't stop. I need to bring a book.
All right, that's fair.
On that note, I actually read comics and manga on my Kindle. I read real books in order to read books.
Really
This is just my thing.
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know what it's the smell of the paper. It's the feel of the pages.
Yeah. Well, it's,
The wet paper just hitting your face. It just feels so good.
This is the way you make me feel.
what?
We'll tell you that story later.
Just for you, Brian.
Yeah, buddy. Anyway,
Yeah. So you're 2019, just bettering yourself.
bettering myself, focusing on myself, getting my timetable straightened out, because I've just always been worried about other people,
Yeah.
like wanting to make sure that I don't let anybody down as much as I possibly can, which I'll still try, by the way. I'm not gonna leave you for dead.
He'll still try to let you down. Don't worry.
I will still be the procrastinator of procrastinators, but I will just want to focus a little bit more on my mental and physical health, because I've been putting that to the wayside for far too long, and I feel like a lot of our country does that nowadays.
I agree.
When it comes
Yeah.
to work, family, people stress you out. You need to be able to release.
I too on that note, I think it's really important that a lot of individuals kind of skip over that. I think we're all super guilty here at this table
Yeah.
of your own mental and well-being. Like that is far more important than anything else, because if you can't take care of can't take care of yourself, how can you take care of somebody else?
That's right.
So please make sure you are taking care of yourself. That is super important. It doesn't matter if it takes 5 minutes or an hour a day. Just take some time to yourself, find your center, get yourself back to where your equilibrium. And that's what we're all working on in 2019, it sounds like.
Yeah.
So,
I think everybody just wants a little bit of sanity in their
Yeah.
life, man.
a little bit.
I mean, between everything going on, between politics, real life, work, and family, it's everybody's got the same shtick.
Yeah.
We're not running away from anything that no one else has seen or heard of.
Correct.
Right.
So try to make it the best you can for yourself.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Without having to sacrifice other people. But,
And
make
if
it
you
work.
have to sacrifice other people, over a volcano is preferable. You have to get rid of the body. You're good. You don't have to worry about
And we have
anything.
a list of people that you could choose from.
Oh, do we have a list? But until next time.
Yeah, it's a little creepy, but whatever.
Until next time, cheers.
Cheers,
Thank you
guys.
all.
Cheers.
This will be my last
Merry
podcast
Christmas. Yeah, actually, this will be the last podcast
of the year,
Of the year, yeah. We
Yeah.
won't be back until
2019.
second Friday in January. Yeah.
So Mark's going to cook up something special, possibly with John, possibly without John. We're still figuring that out.
Oh, God.
Smells burnt, but that's okay.
Yeah.
It will not be a typical show, but it'll try and keep the same
Throwing
format.
shade on us, man.
Oh, shade. Oh, this is my last episode. Hence the
Because
Batanta.
he's going to be gone for like 5 weeks or 4 weeks. So
It's like I don't even work anymore.
I know, right?
what do you even do?
That's a great question.
But please, like I
ask
said,
him when he sends me 9,000 Facebook posts a day.
if you're curious about our Christmas buckets, you can leave your comments in the comments below, and we'll go ahead and
Why would they be
address
curious
you
about this?
with our links so you can purchase them.
Don't bother, please.
Merry Christmas, happy holidays, and see you in
Cheers, guys.
the new year.
Happy New Year's, Merry Christmas, and every other thing that you do.
Out.
I mean, I don't want to like sit there and stare or anything, but I mean, I believe you.
Yeah, it's very well possible. All I know is that this better become our holiday tradition where we drink out of Christmas buckets.
Why? I am super worried about what this is made out of. I don't even think it's plastic.
What's a little cancer amongst friends? Don't squeeze it; it'll break. I just want everyone at home to know, because I'm hoping eventually this will make it into like, don't do that. What is wrong with you? A red styrofoam or a red Solo cup is probably more secure than these Christmas buckets here.
Yeah, I'm super fascinated that this is actually holding right now.
And then we have
Is that functional?
the black mocha stout, which is delicious.
Dude, there's no way that's even functional.
Would you stop trying to lift it by the handle? If you spill that on this table before we record, I mean, technically recording now, but I mean, it depends on how much. Like, maybe we can talk Mark into putting this at the end as like a little extra, a little conversation about Marky Mark.